Take one.
Oh, do you have any moving violations?
Many people have remarked how The Irishman might be sort of the end maybe of a series of movies about the mafia and gangsters, maybe the end of a trilogy, you know. Perhaps that might be the case, but Marty never referenced that as part of either the look of the movie or something that he was exploring in relation to the previous movies he's done. Having said that, the movie is about memory, so I think it's a huge reflection in that sense of his own stay in this world, you know, in his work as well. In terms of the look of it, though, it was approached as his own thing. I think Marty, he designs the shots of the movies based on certainly the story. He goes through the script, and every scene he designs the shots he's imagining. So for him, it's an editorial thing, the energy of the movie, how that's going to flow, and he imagines how one thing is going to cut to the next and the next. And so he's always thinking about the editing.
Can't tell you. I don't shine shoes anymore.
Relax, will you, for crying out? What's got into you? I'm breaking your balls a little bit, that's all. I'm only kidding with you.
Sometimes you don't sound like you're kidding. You know, there's a lot of people here.
Robinson, apparently tired, punched with a fairly well and rocked Jake LaMotta. Right.
But it's all based on the emotion of the scenes and who the character is. In the case of The Irishman, Frank Sheeran is a man who has become kind of used to killing. It becomes a job. Through that ability that he has, he's able to now become part of this family. But he approaches it in a very methodical way. He goes and he cases the place, he decides what he needs to do, and then he does A, B, C, D. So the camera behaves like that. The camera is not doing, you know, spectacular, mysterious moves. It's just kind of matter of fact. This is a building, this is where it is, in comes Frank Sheeran, the victim comes out, boom! Oh. It's always very organic to the material, the character. That's how he approaches the shots. The characters in other movies, the camera behaves differently, but also because the characters have a different energy. So then the camera reflects that. I really kind of try to disappear on set. The paraphernalia of cinematography can be a lot. You know, the lighting, the cameras, the marks. When we were doing the visual effects for creating this youthful look for the actors in the different decades, we had to create a specific rig that held 3 cameras. So the central camera was filming the scene, and then 2 witness cameras, and they all had to be high-end digital cameras that were synchronized. So we had a red helium in the center and 2 Alexa Minis on the side. So that was a thing. That was a big, you know, and each camera became 3, you know, and we shot many scenes with 2 cameras, so then that's 6. And some scenes we shot with 3 angles, that became 9 cameras. So that could be a thing. I remember Al Pacino in one scene where we were in the prison, and that was the case. We had 3 angles on that. And he came in and saw 9 cameras looking at him, and he was like, whoa, you know. But then soon after he forgot about it, he got into the scene, and that way we were able to cover his performance, and you know, and from the different angles, and also Tony Pro at the same time. They were so good at embodying the different ages that you kind of forgot about it as we were shooting it. In fact, I saw the film cut before the visual effects were done, and it worked. You know, even seeing them without any makeup, you know, at their age now, for the whole movie, somehow the story and their performances is so compelling that you kind of forgot about it. But then when it's actually there, when you see them age, it's very unique. I think it's probably the first time in cinema history where you see characters age convincingly that much. You know, in the past it's been either only makeup and just kind of assuming that they're young, but they're actually in their 30s, they're supposed to look like they're teenagers or whatever it may be, or different actors. I try to make it as unobtrusive as possible, and I try not to encumber the actors with all sorts of marks and, okay, your eyeline is over here, you know, just trying to make it so that they're only thinking of their character and the person they're interacting with. And in fact, I saw Al Pacino maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he didn't even recognize me, and you know, but I knew. I immediately said, "I'm Rodrigo." I was a cinematographer, and like, oh, that's right, you know. because I'm not there, I'm not, measuring the light all the time, I'm not telling them what to do or anything. I just like to dance with them with a camera. I like to feel their energy, and if I'm operating, I'll just dance with them. And if I'm not operating, I'll be with a little headset and I'll be talking to the operators and trying to feel the energy of the actors and try to, dance with them. And in terms of lighting, I was more interested in something that Scorsese told me about, the way he remembered the different places where the mafioso met. When he was a child, he went to these restaurants of the style of the Villa de Roma, for example, which is in Philadelphia, but still he remembered places like that. Or all these social clubs, like the Parma Boys Social Club in Harlem, which we actually shot in the exact location, which now it was an empty place, and when we scouted it was just this empty room, so we reproduced that room. Marty remembered the lighting on these places, and he talked about how they were kind of low wattage bulbs, and say the Villa de Roma style of restaurant. He remembered this amber kind of color on the light. So that's what I did for those scenes. It changes the way it feels because of the lookup tables. So the same location, the Villa de Roma, has a different feel, but I basically lit it the same way. It just looks different with ENR than with Ektachrome, for example. I designed lookup tables that could work with a film camera or the digital camera, because every scene that required de-aging had to be shot with digital, and everything else I shot with film. So I had to create lookup tables that could match on both formats. I met Scorsese for Wolf of Wall Street, and I was about to fly to India for a commercial, and I got a call from my agent telling me, Martin Scorsese wants to meet you. I was in Los Angeles. And I was pretty shocked, but I said, but I'm flying to India the day after tomorrow. So he said, okay, get on a flight tonight. So I flew to New York and arrived, slept in the morning, took a shower, went to his house, and that's where we met. So I really didn't have time to get too nervous about it. And he's very charming and very generous. So immediately he put me at ease. And it didn't feel like an interview, like a job interview. It was talking about cinema, about Lust Caution is a movie that he had seen that he liked, and then he started talking about Wolf of Wall Street, and in very general terms. He wasn't, okay, this is a movie, this is a look I want to do, or any of that. It was just, it was a very relaxed conversation. I felt really great about it, and even just the fact that I was meeting with him, I wasn't even attached to, I hope I get the job with him. It was just, okay, what a great opportunity to meet him in his house and all that. And I got a call afterwards, right after the meeting, as I was going to the airport, saying, okay, yes, he wants you to do the movie. So that's how it all began, and it was really thrilling, and it's been quite a ride since then. Scorsese obviously is a huge fanatic of cinema. He's always seeing movies. For example, when we're working in the middle of a shoot in his trailer, when we go and have meetings and talk about the next thing we're doing, there are movies on the television. He's constantly, watching, and he'll know the movie. He's already probably seen it at times, and he'll just reference, oh yes, this movie, Jack Cardiff did this and that, and then, he knows everything about the movie. Not only the movie itself, but everything that happened around it. Thankfully, though, he doesn't expect us all to be as knowledgeable as he is. Obviously, I love cinema, but I haven't seen one fraction of the movies he has seen. But it's not something we talk about a lot. He's not constantly saying, okay, this is like this and this movie, and or let's screen all these movies to get a sense of. Sometimes we do screen movies, but lots of times it's just to see the movie, not as a specific reference. It's an interesting time right now, because movies that are on cinemas more and more are spectacle movies. There's still room, and there's still, many cinemas that screen art films. I don't know that even the term of art cinema, I don't quite understand it, because I think that any human expression is art, any human expression. The whole streaming thing opens actually opportunities for many filmmakers. There's so much need for content. Even beginning directors and cinematographers, have the opportunity to do different formats. And there's even exploration now of different lengths. You can now do maybe series that are just 10 minutes, each episode maybe is 10 minutes long, or, so it opens up more possibilities of storytelling. And even The Irishman, perhaps in the traditional studio type of movie exclusively for the cinema, there might have been more pressure to make it shorter. But I think that the length of this movie is part of its strength. Because it really gives you the feeling of watching a life unfold in front of you. And it is, I don't think it's ever boring, quite the opposite. It's always really riveting. Also because these actors are so amazing, so it's just fantastic to watch these performances. Not only was Scorsese able to do this movie, which was a very expensive proposition because of all these visual effects and all these things, but he was able to do it exactly the way he wanted to do it. And it is showing in cinemas. I'm sure he would like it to show in more cinemas for a longer period of time, but I think the same thing happened with other movies that he did. Even great movies were only exhibited 3 weeks, and then, okay, next. And then it was all DVD. So now there's a possibility of movies having a longer lifespan, I think. And I'm, for one, I'm very happy that exists.